For 47 years, NASA's Voyager 1 has been our farthest ambassador to the stars. But something unusual has occurred since March. The spacecraft started sending garbled, apparently random streams of data that stumped NASA engineers utterly. The Majorana 1 quantum computer chip has recently cracked what looks to be an artificial message embedded in Voyager 1's garbled data. This is no bug or machine failure. Quantum computing has first ever revealed potentially a hidden message from intelligent agents buried in deep space telemetry. Let that sink in. A spacecraft 14.5 billion miles from home suddenly emitting signals containing structured information that was invisible to conventional computer systems. NASA researchers are awestruck at the implications. This could be the first sign of non-human intelligence interacting with our technology at the boundary of interstellar space. This discovery turns everything we thought we knew about Voyager's mission and what might be out there beyond our solar system on its head. When NASA first detected the strange signals in March, they were sheer gibberish. Routine analysis found nothing but noise, random variation, and scrambled data packets that were completely meaningless. The engineering team initially suspected hardware degradation, which would be expected for a spacecraft launched in 1977. This is what raw data appeared as: seemingly random collections with no structure. Engineers attempted every conventional decoding technique NASA had at its disposal, with no success. The signals just kept getting stronger and more regular, beyond the ability to explain. That's when JPL researchers went to quantum computing. The Majorana 1 chip works fundamentally differently, examining millions of possible relationships between data all at once rather than one by one. Applied to Voyager's garbled transmissions, something miraculous occurred. This is the revolution. What appeared to be background noise suddenly showed definite geometric patterns when processed by quantum algorithms. The signal contains precise mathematical sequences that repeat with modifications, evidence of purposeful communication, not noise. The moment of realization was when the quantum system identified a repeating 127-bit string throughout the noise. This string, graphed visually, produces complex geometric patterns that would never occur naturally. The moment when the scientists saw this structure emerge out of randomness, the world was altered. This was not a glitch, it was a message. But what's actually here is even more surprising. The sequence contains embedded mathematical constants not used in Voyager's code, in patterns that suggest deliberate encoding. Brian Cox had already speculated quantum computers might be able to discover hidden patterns in astronomical data too subtle for conventional analysis, but no one suspected it would discover something like this. The full decoding is still ongoing, but initial results suggest something that cannot be explained conventionally. The decoded message contains something extraordinary, a precise mathematical sequence unlike anything discovered in Voyager's code. At its center is a sequence of prime numbers followed by mathematical constants in a given sequence. The sequence begins with the first 10 prime numbers, then moves to what appears to be coordinates described in terms of mathematical ratios. Most impressive is the presence of geometric commands, when visually read, that create a three-dimensional spiral matrix with symbols stored inside them. The symbols have a repetitive pattern, suggesting some form of language or math notation far in advance of our own understanding. The quantum analysis revealed something even more surprising. Encoded within the message are images of fundamental physical constants like the fine structure constant and Planck's constant, but with tiny variations from our own values. Those variations are not random. They form a pattern of their own, perhaps containing additional information. Here's why this cannot be equipment failure. The signal contains mathematical sequences not added to Voyager. The spacecraft simply isn't capable of computing these complex patterns on its own. The message includes mathematical relationships that would require intentional encoding. Noise and interference have known patterns of randomness. This signal doesn't come anywhere near fitting those patterns. Statistical methods place the probability of the sequence occurring naturally at less than 1 in 10 to the 87th power, essentially impossible. Quantum pattern recognition methods used to identify the signal were developed from Michio Kaku's pioneering research on discovering intelligent patterns in cosmic background radiation. His algorithms specifically separate man-made signals from natural phenomena based on identifying mathematical patterns that don't exist in nature. The message also contains what appears to be a response to data written on Voyager's golden disk, that is, referring to the mathematical and scientific information on the disk, which was intended for Otherworld's residents. But from where precisely is this message? The response blows everything we thought we knew about Voyager's flight. The power and character of the signal don't match what we'd see if Voyager itself were just on the fritz. Someone or something appears to be using Voyager as a communications relay. The question is, who or what at the other end? Now, scientists are working with three big theories about where this message is coming from. The first theory suggests an external intelligence is intercepting and modifying Voyager's signals before they reach Earth. Supporting this idea is the fact that signal strength hasn't changed despite the message's complexity increasing dramatically. The transmission characteristics remain consistent with Voyager's hardware capabilities, suggesting something is piggybacking on the existing communication channel. The flaw with this theory is that it would require incredibly advanced technology to intercept signals specifically intended for Earth from 14.5 billion miles away without disrupting the primary transmission. And why specifically use Voyager 1 when other space probes exist? The second hypothesis is that they actually programmed these patterns into Voyager systems at the outset, a kind of hidden program meant to be activated when the spacecraft crossed into interstellar space. The timing is coincidental with Voyager's crossing the heliopause, the boundary where solar influence gives way to true interstellar space. The evidence. A number of mathematical sequences contain elements reminiscent of early NASA programming languages. But this theory does not explain the high quality of the message, which is well beyond the capabilities of computers in the 1970s. Former NASA engineers who worked on the original mission have strongly denied that any secret programs were loaded. The third and most controversial theory is that Voyager 1 has actually encountered something in interstellar space, maybe an advanced civilization or its technology. The decelerating rise of message complexity may be a smart learning teaching intelligence how to speak with our machines. The linkage of the message to information that Voyager's gold record contains is a wonderful hint that this indeed is so. The refutation. Voyager instruments did not discover anything physical on their surroundings, but skeptics mention that its sensors were designed to detect and measure all varieties of matter or energy. And even more curious about this phenomenon is the timing. These patterns began right around the time Voyager 1 was experiencing its latest communication issues in February. The spacecraft simply began to transmit jumbled telemetry data. NASA initially diagnosed this as a malfunction of the flight data system, but before engineers could install a fix, these new patterns manifested. This serendipity has led some scientists to question whether or not the patch actually opened something up in Voyager systems or indicated an open communication path that can be used by another source. What does NASA say officially regarding this discovery? Their response raises the questions instead of answering them. Official words from the government space agency have been unusually reserved, with blanket disputes between departments on how to interpret the data. NASA's official report verifies the detection of unusual patterns of data in Voyager 1 signals but refrains from confirming any extraterrestrial source. Their carefully prepared news release calls it a multifaceted signal whose implications remain to be explored with emphasis on all spacecraft systems still within acceptable parameters. Behind the diplomatic public veneer, internal NASA reports obtained exclusively for this story show intense disagreements within the quantum computing team and with top administration officials. The European Space Agency has been more courageous, and their Director of Science has announced emergency diversion of funds to test the signal independently. China's Space Agency, CNSA, has directed their deep space listening arrays to verify the transmission, and Russia's Roscosmos has requested an urgent global effort to create a unified scientific reaction. At the broader scientific community level, the discovery has elicited unprecedented polarizations. The International Astronomical Union convened an emergency meeting last week, in which quantum physicists and mainstream SETI researchers were at odds. The quantum group offered strong mathematical proof of non-random structure, whereas old hands at SETI contended for ruling out all normal explanations beforehand. Skeptics cite a few valid reasons. First, the quantum interpretation techniques are as novel as they are, and established verification techniques haven't yet been developed for them. Second, the quantum architecture of the Majorana 1 chip may be generating patterns out of noise due to its novel processing techniques. Thirdly, some argue that there may be terrestrial sources of interference that alter the original signal prior to processing. To settle these doubts, an unprecedented verification process is in progress now. 3 independent quantum computing teams are processing the raw data simultaneously. NASA has utilized redundant communication links to Voyager 1 to attempt alternative paths. Most significantly, the Deep Space Network has implemented a new isolation protocol to avoid any possibility of terrestrial signal contamination. The verification team includes specialists in both quantum computing and traditional deep space communication domains working in parallel to cross-validate each other's findings. Their complete research is weeks, not months, away. What does this tell you? Post your speculations in the comments before we reveal what scientists believe is most likely to have happened. If true, this discovery would fundamentally alter the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. SETI focused on discovering intentional radio messages transmitted specifically to our planet for decades. The Voyager signal suggests something far more sophisticated, intelligent life capable of intercepting, decoding, and responding to our present transmissions. This reverses SETI's model from passive reception to examining our own space assets for potential responses. The breakthrough has triggered a swift overhaul in how we handle all deep space communication. NASA has already begun applying quantum analysis protocols to the New Horizons mission beyond Pluto and the ongoing Voyager 2. The data from the James Webb Space Telescope is also being reanalyzed with the same quantum algorithms, seeking patterns not possible through traditional computing. Perhaps most importantly, the quantum detection method is being retroactively applied to historical data from previous missions. Scientists are re-examining decades of Pioneer, Galileo, and Cassini mission signals for similar signals that might have passed us by. The implications are profound. If true, it is the first documented contact with non-human intelligence, not through direct communication with Earth, but through communication with our most distant technological ambassador. It suggests a quality of intelligence knowledgeable and reacting to human technology, not initiating contact on its own. The scientific potential is beyond astrobiology. The mathematical content of the message suggests knowledge of physical constants subtly other than what we presently understand, perhaps containing keys to the fundamental physics of the universe. The process of detection of quantum is a breakthrough in signal processing and analysis of complex signals. The timescale for verification is arriving rapidly. Within 60 days, the international consortium will complete the scrutiny of the signal's authenticity. Within 90 days, the entire mathematical equivalent of the message's content will be finished. The most optimistic goal is for the development of a two-way communications protocol in 120 days, if the signal continues. What scientists most hope to find reaches far beyond validation of where the message comes from. Questions concerning the character of the intelligence that created it are the initial ones. Is it technological, biological, or beyond our conceptual scheme? Is it originating from within our galaxy or without? Perhaps most importantly, why would it choose to make contact now and only on Voyager? Neil deGrasse Tyson has called this potential discovery the most profound in the history of human science, cautioning against jumping to conclusions. He is emphasizing the quantum computer as a completely new way of questioning reality that might reveal patterns imperceptible to previous generations of scientists. If verified, Tyson explained in his recent address at the National Academy of Sciences, this signal doesn't just change astronomy. It redrafts our appreciation of our place in the universe. While the general history of Voyager 1 is well known, few understand the sophisticated engineering that enables it to remain operational in interstellar space. Voyager's thermoelectric radioisotope generators utilize a unique plutonium-238